The Raiders prepare for their final home game of the season. Welcome to Week 16 on the Silver and Black Show, presented by Cox. Today, Lincoln and I break down our Saturday night matchup against the surging Miami Dolphins. I sit down with two-time Super Bowl champion Jim Plunkett to discuss Raider Pro Bowl selections. And Coach Gruden joins JT to give us insight on what makes this Dolphins defense one of the best units in the league. All that and so much more at the Credit One Bank Club here inside Allegiant Stadium. Let's do this. What is up, Raider Nation? Erin Coscarelli alongside my all-pro tackle, Lincoln Kennedy. Here inside Allegiant Stadium, I figured I'd take you to one of the coolest spots inside the stadium. This is called the Credit One Bank Club, and it has quite the view, Link.
No doubt about it. This is also where the visiting team will come out and exit the field. So I'm glad I'm not here on game day because it might make things a little hectic.
I'm glad as well. A lot to get to here on the show today. And let's first start with, in the event Marcus Mariota gets the start under center with, of course, Derek Carr dealing with a significant groin injury. How does the offense change with number 8 taking snaps?
Well, what Marcus is able to do is with the zone read, and it's usually out of a gun single back. And he'll fake the handoff, see which way the defensive end is facing. If he comes down the line of scrimmage to tackle the running back, he'll keep the ball around. You saw a lot of that in the Charger game. They're going to further install that with play action as well as slant passes as well.
I'll be curious to see how defenses play against him now that they have a little game tape. How do you believe teams will adjust now that they've been able to see and maybe potentially game plan for Mariota?
A lot of teams don't in the National Football League don't see zone reads, so the Dolphins have had a week to prepare for him. But in actuality, you got to prepare for two quarterbacks because we don't know if Derek Carr's not going to be there. Totally different quarterback and a totally different package that Mariota will have.
And I'm so glad you took me there, because what is the difference in preparing for Carr versus, of course, Mariota?
Well, Carr is athletic and he's mobile, but he's just not used to running the zone read scheme. So you don't want to try to put a round peg in a square hole. Don't try to get him out of his comfort zone. You've ran an offense around him all year long. You want to stay with that. So this is just a little side package that they'll put together depending on who's that quarterback.
Interesting. Even Gruden was asked about maybe putting Mariota in conjunction with Carr to maybe throw in some wrinkles. He didn't have an answer for the press, but it was interesting that they had asked that, because that might be another wrinkle or two for the Raiders offense in the event Carr is able to go. But hey, look, there's some really good news for Raider Nation. You guys at home, 2 Pro Bowlers named, of course, Josh Jacobs getting his first, as well as the tight end Darren Waller, matchup nightmare we call him on our show. Give us an assessment of what you're seeing from number 83, because the sky is still the limit. This guy has so much potential.
Yeah, it really is. He's really a phenomenal athlete. And you think about it, EC, when you watch him play, if he's isolated one-on-one, he's definitely a matchup nightmare for no matter who you put on him. And more importantly, he's just become that offensive weapon that the Raiders can rely on.
Yeah.
He's come through in a clutch many times from this season.
And even when the opposing teams know he's our favorite target, they still can't figure out a way to contain him. This is a guy that's averaging 141 yards per game. The last 3 games, of course, had that huge 200 receiving game a couple weeks ago. What do you see this guy? Of course, he's still young. How can he possibly improve his game, knowing what he's been able to do so far?
Well, it's just putting him in more packages and allowing him to see how defenses are going to play him. When they bracket him, they're playing him high, low, double covering, for him to find out a way that he can get open. The great thing about having him as an asset on this offense is if defenses do focus on him, other people should come open. So that's exactly what you want with Henry Ruggs III. That's what you want with Hunter Renfrow if he's back. And Darren Waller also provides that as well.
Yeah, and you know what he said about the other Pro Bowler for the Silver and Black, Josh Jacobs? He called him a tone setter for us offensively, which he is. Of course, not many running backs can handle the kind of workload we give for number 28. How difficult is it for a running back, okay, as a guy that's obviously played many successful years on the offensive line, how difficult is it for a running back to play as effective as Josh Jacobs has with kind of a rotation in front of the offensive line?
It's called what we call learning how to be a pro. You want to make sure that you're available every week and you're as effective as possible. So you got to take care of your body. You got to do what you got to do in the game. And of course, you don't mind sharing reps because, look, everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to, make the big play. But there's times where you've got to share the backfield so you're not beat up. And I think the Raiders have done a decent job of managing them. That's also important.
Absolutely, of course, getting Devontae Booker in there, Jalen Richard on third downs. Is there a change, do you believe, in scheme where maybe you are calling running plays to facilitate the offensive line as opposed to the strengths of your running back?
Not necessarily the offensive line, but it has to be the strength of your running back. For example, in my opinion, Josh Jacobs is more effective out of the eye with Alec Ingold in him. Devontae Booker is more effective out of single back zone runs. Jalen Richard can do both of them equally as well. So that's what you kind of have to gear your calling to, but not make it over the top obvious, because you don't want to say, okay, when Ingold's in there, they're going to run Jacobs. They got to be able to run the same plays, and they do a lot of that as well.
It's really interesting you mentioned that, because, of course, obviously Alec Ingold dealing with that rib injury the last few weeks, and you've seen the running game be impacted by that. And so it goes to show how important number 45, our fullback, is to our offense. Well, look, stick around. We're going to talk Dolphins coming up in the show.
You know, our defense has had issues, so not only do you have to win stopping the run, but you're going to have to stop those passes, and more importantly, you're playing against a mobile quarterback who's not afraid to use his legs.
This has been brought to you by Allegiant, the official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Low fares, nonstop flights. Book now, only at Allegiant.com. Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Coors Light, an official beer of Raider Nation made to chill. Presented by San Manuel Casino, official Southern California casino of Allegiant Stadium.
Carr going to throw, rolls right, wide open, touchdown, Waller. Jacobs at the hole, touchdown. Looking to throw. Back in the end zone, Waller with strong hands.
Hey, we're playing football all day now.
Fires high, caught in the back of the end zone by Waller for a touchdown. Here's Jacobs again. Jackpot, baby. Raiders touchdown. Comes off the right side, lunging for the pylon, and in for the Raider touchdown. Over the top, jackpot, baby. Here's one downfield, and the tight end want to throw. What a catch. Darren Waller, touchdown Raiders.
Welcome back to Silver and Black, and let's welcome in our two-time Super Bowl winning quarterback, Jim Plunkett. Jim, thank you, as always, for joining us today.
Sure, happy to be here once again.
Well, last week, of course, Marcus Mariota had to come in off the bench, and he performed well. Now, of course, he's getting to work with the first-teamers for a whole week. How much do you believe that's going to benefit him going into this week against that tough Dolphins D?
Well, number one, he's an experienced guy, so, he's been in this situation before, but, it's going to help him tremendously, I think, get the timing down a little bit better. That last interception that he threw a hair behind the receiver, in my opinion, still probably should have been caught, but unfortunately it just popped in the air and it was intercepted. And, if it made that reception, the Raiders probably would have gone on to win. So those little things, tighten them up, get the feel of being in a game from start to finish once again. I think those will all benefit Marcus this week in practice.
On the other side of the field, Dolphins, of course, now have the week to prepare for him. So what strategies do you see Miami implementing when it comes to stopping a quarterback with his skill set?
Well, it's a lot of the skill sets of a lot of these young quarterbacks today. Kyle Murray, Lamar Jackson, they can all run and throw extremely well. And so, it's not as unusual now that a quarterback has the running ability that Marcus Mariota does. They see it more often. And, I'm always of the opinion that if somebody's hurting you badly, go after him, make him throw when he doesn't want to, make him run around a little bit if he has to, but, have somebody probably to spy on him to keep him in check a little bit. But, a guy like Marcus, it's really difficult to keep in check. So, I still say pressure somebody like Marcus.
88 rushing yards. He was the leading rusher on the day. 8 of his 9 carries against the Chargers resulted in first downs. Certainly hard to stop him there. Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs got some good news this week, of course, being selected to their very first Pro Bowl. Why do you believe, Jim, that they deserve to go?
There's no question about it. They've been playing extremely well. Darren Waller's had a fantastic year, a few games, way over 100 yards and receptions. He's just the man. He's a tight end he's a wide receiver in tight end positioning, and he's just hard to cover. He's got great hands, great moves, great speed. He got it all done, and they got the ball in a lot of crucial situations. He was the go-to guy in many instances, and he deserves to be there. And young Josh Jacobs, he's had a fantastic year. He's got over 900 yards. 20-something receptions. He helps make that team drive the length of the field. He's a tough guy, not as big as some of the running backs in the league, but I know he gets the job done. I'm very happy for both those two. Wish a couple of other guys could have made it, but that's just the way it is.
Well, and that's, I'm glad that you brought that up, because who were a couple of guys you wish had actually made the Pro Bowl that, maybe got snubbed this year?
Well, I think some of the guys on the defensive line certainly could have made the Pro Bowl. It's unfortunate that it didn't happen, but the Raiders have given up quite a few points, but I think there are one or two guys on defense who really deserve to be there.
Absolutely. Even Carr, I was surprised, he's kept his QB rating at over 100 for the entire season. I would have expected to see maybe he would have made a Pro Bowl selection. Finally, Jim, what do you want to see from this team in the final 2 games going into next season with their playoff hopes very slim?
They are slim, but you got to go out and do your best. Hope to pull off these last 2 games and maybe hope for a miracle. But they all have a job to do. They get paid money to do that job, and I would like to see them play their best. And I know mentally, they're going to go out there and try to come away with a victory. But mentally, sometimes it's very difficult. But they've got to find a way to keep that enthusiasm going. And coach is part of that as well, to keep them fired up to go out there, win these last 2 games and finish on a strong note. And it makes a world of difference for the next year coming up.
Absolutely. Want to end the season on a high note with some momentum heading into the 2021 season. As always, we appreciate when you join us, Jim. Thank you so much.
Sure, my pleasure. Thank you.
From our Super Bowl winning quarterback to our head coach, JT the Brick catches up with Coach Gruden on the matchup ahead against Miami as Tua and the Dolphins come to town.
When you see somebody run for 250 yards against the New England Patriots with the playoffs on the line, it gets your attention.
This segment has been brought to you by Microsoft, an official cloud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders.
We welcome in head coach Jon Gruden. And, Coach, you got to be proud of the job of Marcus Mariota, what he did last Thursday night. We see all the time in the NFL where the backup comes in and there's a significant drop-off, but your coaching staff had him prepared and he was ready for the moment.
Well, he deserves a lot of credit, JT. He's been hurt. He had that pec injury. He missed the first 8 or 10 weeks of the season. And you got to credit the offensive line, all the skill players, because as you saw, we changed gears, started calling some plays that we hadn't run all season. And, Mariota proved that he's still a very dangerous dual threat.
Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs received the news that they made their first Pro Bowls of their career, and that's got to be exciting, Coach, to know that their best football is still ahead of them.
Very excited for those guys. And unfortunately, you haven't been here. Our fans haven't been here to see what they do on a daily basis. But when Raider fans see these guys practice next year, see how they prepare, they'll see why they got selected to the Pro Bowl. Jacobs has been an every down running back. He's improved as a receiver. And Darren Waller, as good a football player as we have in our league right now, as a run blocker, pass protector, and he can line up any place and run all kind of routes.
Rodney Hudson, a Pro Bowl snub. You got to be kidding me. Fans are going crazy on this one, Coach. He had another magnificent year. We weren't happy to get that news.
No, and you're never happy this time of year, but certainly Rodney Hudson, arguably the most decorated center in the league. I think he's had as good a season as he's ever had. I also say Colton Miller was a surprise scratch from the Pro Bowl. I really think those 2 guys should be honored today, but we're happy to have 2 men selected. Most importantly, we got to get back to business, and we got to get ready for this Dolphin team. They're pretty good.
Let's talk about Brian Flores, their coach, and what you've seen from him, his philosophy, his style as he currently has his team in the playoffs.
Well, they've got 3 great coverage players. You could say their whole secondary is very talented. They get Jones from the Cowboys. X Howard has been a great corner. High-paid corners, too, like you, JT. And Eric Rowe is an excellent coverage safety, a former corner with the Patriots. You'll see him number 21. So these 3 guys can take your tight end, your top 2 receivers. And with that being said, they're not afraid to blitz. And you'll see blitzes from everywhere. And they're not afraid to bring the house. So it's an aggressive style, and it all starts, I think, with a very talented group of corners and some experienced veterans up front.
Coach, what do you see on tape with Tua and the offense, how they're moving the ball, especially what they did last week in the red zone?
Well, you see Chan Gailey's fingerprints all over it. A lot of run-pass options, open formations, gimmick plays, trick plays, halfback passes. You'll see it all from Chan Gailey. He's really talented. And if Devontae Parker comes back and their big tight end comes back, you'll see a lot more of Tua throwing the ball, I do believe. But when you see somebody run for 250 yards against the New England Patriots with the playoffs on the line, it gets your attention.
Coach, after a tough overtime loss to the Chargers, what are your expectations for your team this Saturday night? What are you demanding from them?
Well, obviously, we expect a lot. We're disappointed in the results the last couple weeks. We have to get with our trainer and see who's available. And I'm not making any excuses, but we've been missing a lot of guys. Derek Carr is a 50-50 game time decision. We lost Jalen Richard. We lost Hunter Renfrow last week. And obviously on defense, the coronavirus has hit us again this week. So will John Abram play? Will Damon Arnett be back? Will Nicholas Morrow and Cleve Farrell play? That's a big part of our preparation, seeing who's available. And then once we see who's available, let's find a way to win. That's what the Raider theme is all about.
Thank you, Coach. It's been a big year. Last home game. All the best. Happy holidays to you and your family.
You too, JT, and happy holidays to all the fans out there.
This segment has been brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Welcome back to the Silver and Black Show presented by Cox. Erin, Coscarelli, Lincoln Kennedy with you. Link, let's talk Dolphins. They gashed the Patriots for 250 yards on the ground. They are now 9-5. What are you seeing from Miami in terms of offense that you like?
Well, that offense is getting more and more potent and more comfortable for Tua. You know, rookies come in, they're going to make mistakes and struggle at times, especially playing in the National Football League against some of those more renowned defenses. But, you know, our defense has had issues. So not only do you have to win stopping the run, but you're going to have to stop those passes, and more importantly, you're playing against a mobile quarterback who's not afraid to use his legs.
Tua has had 2 rushing touchdowns in the fourth quarter alone against the Patriots. He can be a threat when he wants to be. And when you talk about the run defense, yeah, it actually did improve last week against the Chargers. Can that translate to something that we've struggled with, a more mobile quarterback in terms of Josh Allen, Cam Newton? Can that translate, the run defense improve when you're dealing with a mobile quarterback?
Well, it's hard to tell, Erin, because we haven't had a big quality of work. We only had one game with the new defensive coordinator, Rod Marinelli, and this time he had some time to install his defense. Now, the only thing that's really changed, or that can change in the short amount of time, is how he calls a game. And he'll probably install a few more wrinkles just to add to it this week to put sort of more of a stamp on the originally Paul Guenther's defense.
All right, well, let's talk about Brian Flores, because I think last year they had an 0-7 start. And people were up in arms, this historical bad team. The Dolphins were not great, and then look at now. They are on the verge of a playoff berth and currently 9-5. And when it comes to what you're seeing out of Coach Flores, what is he doing for this franchise? How has he been able to turn it around so soon?
Well, as you mentioned, this franchise has been struggling for such a long time. There were a lot of players, a lot of veterans in that locker room who had given up hope that there would ever anything be done. But they put the draft picks to work. They got some good quality players, and they turned it around. And everyone loves success. Everyone loves to win. So that fact that Coach Flores and the staff has been able to put them in a playoff contention and give them all the confidence in the world, you've seen some of those true veterans, some really good players come out of sort of the darkness and make a name for themselves again.
And he beats his mentor in Bill Belichick. Certainly nice to add to that resume, I imagine. The Dolphins have the #1 scoring defense, and of course they're #1 in takeaways, so watch out for Xavier Howard. When it comes to the Raiders and their mentality heading into the playoffs, of course, the chances are slim for them, right? Destiny was in their hands, and maybe now against the Chargers with that loss, it might diminish the chances for postseason. But what do you believe the mindset now is in the room when it comes to the locker room? You know, as a player, how do you take on these next 2 games in the event you do miss the playoffs?
I would want to hope that you could finish strong, because the Raiders are on the verge. If they can finish the record 9-7, that's 2 more wins than they had last year. You're progressing in the right direction, and that would be good for confidence, especially this young team. Yeah, this is going to be a big offseason for them, as well as a big draft next coming, because they still have some pieces to add. But EC, you want to finish the season off strong. You want to stop the bleeding like they've had over the past month with the games that they haven't been able to win, and go out on the end of the season with a good note.
Like you said, 9-7 is progress.
Yes.
2 games more that you've won from the season before, and you want to see progress in the event you don't make the postseason. Well, look, the Raiders are set to make their 5th and final primetime appearance on Saturday, when, of course, they host the Miami Dolphins. As always, Erin, Coscarelli, Lincoln Kennedy, thank you guys at home for watching, and we will see you next week.
This is a real challenge for us. This opportunity to prove your mental toughness and physical toughness at the same time.
They've got this big, bad, nasty offensive line. They're able to run the football effectively. The Raiders usually win.
Dolphins, Raiders.
You got the Miami Dolphins and the Las Vegas Raiders in a singled-out Saturday night special here.
And he can run, and he can throw, and he doesn't need a lot of protection.
They are scrappy, and they are adaptable, and that's why they have a chance to win a playoff game.
Just give Josh Jacobs the ball. We'll take care of the rest.
Off to Jacobs. Vegas touchdown. Jackpot, baby. Touchdown. Waller.
We're going to play our ass off, period.
This has been brought to you by Allegiant, the official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Low fares, nonstop flights. Book now, only at Allegiant.com. Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of the Las Vegas Raiders. Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Twitch, the official live streaming partner of the Las Vegas Raiders.